Cristiano Ronaldo, Al Gore, Oprah Winfrey, Leonardo DiCaprio, and me. What do we all have in common? We are all influencers in our own way. We can all impact people's life. I'm Ivonne Petit, and I'm a Venezuelan blogger. From a very young age, I have felt a strange connection with the planet. I've always been amazed by it. It's the life in it, its changes, its evolutions, everything. It was until I saw physics in the school that I realized science was not my thing. So, despite loving journalism and news, I ended up leaning towards marketing, specifically digital marketing. That's when I realized that I loved social network, and I admire how they reconnected us, they revolutionized the world, and a new era was created. That's when we start getting familiar with the word influencer. Despite it was recently added to the English dictionary, the word influencer means the power to have an important effect on someone or something. But actually, it's been familiar to rich or famous people or celebrities. If we look back on our history, we can find lots of influencers since the beginning of times. It has its way in time. We can see like monarchy have been influenced by since our beginning. Moses, Jesus Christ, popes, Michael Jordan, and even Santa Claus. But I think, when I think about me and who has impacted me, the first thing I think is my family. They're pretty made a big impact on my life. They have influenced who I've become. And if I think a little bit more, I think of my friends. And if I think a little bit harder and go back, I think my teachers have made a pretty big influence in my life. So that made me think that maybe we can all be influencers in someone else's life and without having 2,000 million followers on Instagram, okay? That thought actually encouraged me to create my own blog, one that spoke about something I really love and I'm passionate about, which is the environment. Now, let me back up and tell you a little bit about my life. I grew up in a house where it was filled with important people, always, like politics, actors, actresses, scientists, researchers, statistic analysts, everything. That's because my mom is a journalist in Venezuela. Actually, she's a really known journalist, and she always invited home people who were really interesting or had really important things to say. I used to sneak around and hear it. I love it. And that made me think that I wanted to be like her. I wanted to grow up and be like her. But I didn't want to be exactly like a political journalist. So I tried to like find myself, and I think I consider myself much more of a free soul. You see, I'm much more of a traveler person. I like meeting new people. I love meeting new places, getting in touch with locals, getting in touch with local nature. So I just thought like maybe I can do something about environment with all this admiring thing of my mom. My country is a privileged country. Like you can see, we have a big diversity of landscapes, natural landscapes. People are very friendly, and it's very colorful, and also we have a great weather all year long. That made me realize that every time I travel, I couldn't help noticing or avoid noticing the trash and the waste and the garbage. Everywhere I travel, I saw some problems, and all these problems were like done by us. They were all created by us. So the first time I went to bath on a beach with my son, I saw this, and I thought like, where am I supposed to bath now? Like, where should we go to the beach right now? And I thought, and that's the first thought I wanted to eradicate. I thought we don't have to look for second options, we have to solve the first ones. So that made me think and encourage me to create my own blog. Our habits, the way we consume, the way we behave, it's all wrong. Even when I travel outside Venezuela, I think the same. It's a problem of consciousness, where it's our problem, and part of the problem is us. But at the same time, I've met incredible people doing incredible things for the environment. One of them taught me we can all change from the inside out. We can start it. We can make small decisions every day to change our lifestyles. This person made me realize that we don't have to have 2 million followers in our Instagram account to make a change, because she made it on me. So that made me think that my blog would have potential. The planet is going through a crisis that only exists because of our excessive consumption. It's not only about the climate changing, it's about what we do every day to make it change. We can all create an impact. We can all create a wave causing a ripple. At the beginning, it's really hard, but I think we can all be part in the influence needed to solve this. I'm not gonna lie, I had to make a lot of research to do it. I have to follow a lot of influencers, environmental influencers, to see how they were living their life, to understand what I was doing wrong, and to get to know how to change it. But when I started to taking those actions and speaking about them, I didn't have the answer I hoped for. People started rejecting or ignoring or entering deep discussions like, what impact can one person do? How can we change the planet? That's impossible. We're too many, etc. So with time, I started to talk with people, and I finally got someone to listen to me. Then that someone made other person listen to me. And then it started with some of my family members, some friends. My husband started to taking me serious. And that's when I learned that there's a natural process of how people react when we talk about climate change. The first one is the polar bear stage. This is when we're starting to be bombed by all the news about the Arctic is melting, the Arctic ice. The polar bears are going to be extinct. And we are we're starting to be aware that there's a problem. Then we go through the denial stage, which is when we think that it's a big problem, but it's so far away that we're not convinced it's gonna get us. So we start thinking yeah, the sea level will rise, what a problem for governments, and thank God I don't live in the coast. So we're looking at it so far away. Most people stay in this stage because it's the most important one, but not so few percentage of people come to this stage, which is the research. They're starting to be aware of it, and they want to know more about it, and they want to do something about it. So they're starting to investigate a little bit more about what's happening and what they can do about it, and that's when they start planning. They start planning how to change their lives, how to change their lifestyles, how to change their home habits, and they put a date on the calendar to change it. That's when for example, in my case, I started saying I'm gonna bath less time, I'm gonna take a 5-minute shower, I'm gonna close the water for when I'm doing when I'm brushing my teeth. And why? Because water is a limited resource. Even though it's natural, it's a limited resource, and actually we're wasting it. So this is a good part of the process. And that leads me to the action stage. In this stage, actually it's my favorite one, because it's when you really are starting to do those changes you want in your life, And even though you might start with one little detail, you'll be working consciousness all the time. It's like you start getting in a new phase of mind and you just don't stop. You're always looking at other details that you can improve, other details people can improve, other details your community can improve to have a much eco-friendly life. And that leads me to the stage of the people. Sometimes this stage suddenly appears. Normally, we forget about the people and our family and our husbands because we think it's an individual decision, but actually it's a common decision. We live in communities, so it's really hard to only change by ourselves. Normally, there are parents, husbands, girlfriends, friends that don't agree with your new decisions or your new choices, or even they can argue about it. That's normal, okay? That's gonna happen. It's normal. We just have to talk about it, and we can give, that's a good opportunity to give that person information about our planet and what we can do to save it or what we can do to change it. So in a way, we are already influencing people in this stage because we put the subject on the table, a subject that probably they will never have talked about it. And for last, we have the I did it stage. This is when you already done it, okay? You have changed your life, you have changed a lot of habits, you have changed your lifestyles, or at least you have started to do it, and you're so proud of yourself. You're so proud that you want to share it with people, and you are going to change their lives because you're going to show them a different way of living. And if they are open to understand and to accept it, probably they will join you. So this is a very special way to understand that we are all connected and how we can all make a change, even if it's one person. Okay, don't underestimate the power that we all have. The solution of climate change is not about changing things differently. It's about changing what we do every day. It's about changing our whole system. This applies for all of us. Whatever influence we have, we must use it because we need a significant change, and we need it right now. And as Robin Dance once said, some of us will make tiny ripples, others will send crashing waves, but each one of us will change the surface of the water forever. Thank you.